This is a very, very important parameter that should have been used. But, Honorable Speaker, the argument that was advanced by the Senate when they appeared before us to defend this report is that, Honorable Speaker, there are some governors that are not physically disciplined in the way they are managing their finances. But the Senate felt that denying the people the resources on the account of a poor manager of a governor was not going to be prudent. So, Honorable Speaker, this formula allowed this parameter to be removed from consideration, so that if one governor is not financially disciplined, that should not be used to deny a whole county resources. The other factor that has been raised, Honorable Speaker, was some members who were questioning why only 12 counties were identified and for use in the new formula. The 12 counties, Honorable Speaker, are small counties. And that is the reason why this affirmative action has been employed on them. The reason being, Honorable Speaker, that for the two important parameters, population and geographical size, these two parameters give these counties very little resources. That in the end, these counties do not have resources to undertake development programs. That is why they were identified for affirmative action in this new formula, so that they will be able to receive some money extra to allow them to undertake development programs. Honorable Speaker, with those many remarks, I would like to reply. Thank you.
Honorable members, I want to put the question. Before I do, let me once again notify you that the numbers required for you to negative this motion are not existent. So I'll be putting the question, the way your voices go, the ayes will have it. And so I put the question. Honorable members, I put the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Budget and Appropriations Committee in its report on the consideration of the fourth basis for revenue sharing for county governments, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 19th June 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 217, Sub-Article 1, and Sub-Article 4 of the Constitution and allocation of the share of national revenue among the counties, this House concurs with the Senate and approves the fourth basis for the annual allocation of the share of national revenue to the county level of government for the financial years 2025-2026 to 2029-2030 without amendments as follows. Roman 1, for the county equitable share below Kenya shillings 415 billion, county allocation equal to, in bracket, baseline allocation ratio times Kenya shillings 387.425 billion plus, in bracket, Kenya shillings 3 billion shared equally among the identified 12 counties plus, in bracket, 0.45 times population index plus, in bracket, 0.35 times equal share index plus, in bracket, 0.12 times poverty index plus, into brackets, 0.08 times geographical size index times, into bracket, county equitable share minus Kenya shillings 390.425 billion. Roman 2, for county equitable share of Kenya shillings 415 billion and above, county allocation shall be equal to, into bracket, baseline allocation ratio times Kenya shillings 387.425 billion plus, into bracket, 4.46 billion shared equally among the identified 12 counties plus, into bracket, 0.45 by population index plus, into bracket, 0.35 by equal share index plus 0.5 by poverty index plus into bracket 0.08 by geographical size index times county equitable share minus Kenya shillings 391.89 billion, where Roman 1 baseline allocation ratio is equal to the allocation factor derived from each county's allocation of the financial year 2024-2025. Roman 2, the 12 identified counties are Elgeyo Marakwet, Embu, Isiolo, Kirinyaga, Laikipia, Lamu, Nyamira, Nyandarua, Samburu, Taita Taveta, Tharaka Nithi, and Vihiga. Roman 3, the population index is based on the 2019 Kenya National Population and Housing Census, KPHC. Roman 4, the poverty index is based on the 2022 Kenya Poverty Report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, KNBS. And Roman 5, geographical size is capped at 10%. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Yeah, next order. But before the next order, let me recognize the following institutions that are visiting the National Assembly, the House of the Parliament of Kenya. We have in the House Good Shepherd Academy from Mwala constituency, Machakos County. And then we have Asumbi Girls from Rangwe constituency, Homa Bay County. Honorable members, Homa Bay County is my county, and Asumbi Girls is the school of my mother. My mother was a pioneer student at Asumbi Girls when it started as a primary school. I therefore, on behalf of the National Assembly, would like to welcome those two institutions to the House of Parliament in their study tour. And on behalf of all of us, I'll allow the minority whip, the minority whip, the Honorable Millie Odhiambo Mabona, good girl, not bad girl today, to welcome both institutions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I'm always a bad girl because good girls don't get the corner office. And the girls who have come before the House must know that for you to make it in life, you have to be a bad girl. But you have to be a bad girl in a good way. You have to be a bad girl by speaking out when there are wrong things going on. You must be a bad girl by saying no to bad things or people forcing you to do wrong things. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to welcome the two schools from Machakos and from Homa Bay County. Mr. Speaker, my two sisters went to school in Asumbi Girls, so I'm very connected and linked to Asumbi Girls. And one of my sisters, who is now working in California, who was also a student there, has also taught in Asumbi Girls. So it's one of our best schools. The girls are doing well, and I just want to indicate, Mr. Speaker, that they are very happy to have women who are examples and they can emulate. In Homa Bay County, the governor, Honorable Gladys Wanga, is a woman. No, she didn't go to Asumbi, but she's the governor and she's a woman. Mr. Speaker, there are a member of parliament who has requested, Mr. Speaker, if she can be allowed. She's been waiting since morning for this school. If she'll be allowed, because she had to run, she's even having a problem with her voice, but she's on her way. So Honorable Lillian Gogo, Honorable Dr. Lillian Gogo, is also a woman. And yours truly, Millie Odhiambo, is also a woman, bad girl. And also the women rep, Honorable Dr. Bensouda, is also a woman. And Honorable Dr. Ivo Barra is also a woman. Mr. Speaker, we have said that people, the men in our constituency, are the ones who will be having problem, because even me, I'm doing my PhD now. So only we will soon just be hearing Peter Kaluma. Martina Wayne. But the rest of us will be Honorable Dr. Millie Odhiambo, Honorable Dr. Ivo Bara, Honorable Dr. Lillian Goko. There she's come, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, we are very happy to see the women, in both from Machakos and here. And we want to tell you how far you go is really up to you. It's not dependent on your circumstances. You can overcome. Welcome to the National Assembly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'll have problems because I don't have doctorate yet. I come from Homa Bay. Now that Honorable Lillian Gogo has arrived, members allow me to allow Honorable Dr. Lillian Gogo to welcome the students from our best school in the country, actually. Honorable Lillian, Dr. Lillian Gogo. Do you have doctorate by any chance? No, you are not recognized. Dr. Lillian Gogo, proceed. It is time for only women with doctorate.
I want to thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Speaker, I must also pronounce myself to the fact that you also are a great grandson of Asumbi National School that is represented here. And the Honorable Jalango is also telling me, Honorable Speaker, that I must indicate that is also associated with Asumbi National School that is here by dint of coming from Homa Bay County. I want to celebrate all our students who have come to visit the National Assembly, and specifically, Honorable Speaker, allow me to celebrate Asumbi National School for what Asumbi is, for exemplary performance in the national exams and extracurricular activities. But I also want to say this on Asumbi National School, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Asumbi National School is one particular
The Honorable
school.
Dr. Lillian Gogo will be heard in silence.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for your protection. Thank you, thank you. My majority leader, the Honorable Ichungwa, you don't have a PhD, so just sit down. Thank you, thank you. Asumbi National School, Honorable Speaker, takes care of girls with good brains who are called to other national schools and probably are unable to raise their fare to the various schools across the country. When I approach the principal, the chief principal of Asumbi National School, my dear Lynette Pino Sati, may the Lord bless you, may the Lord bless Asumbi. All our brilliant girls are absorbed in that particular school. So I want to appreciate you. Welcome to the National Assembly. And I know that we have very many leaders seated there, other than being in the echelon of political leadership. I know we have leaders in business seated there. I know we have leaders in medicine and engineering and also in law seated there. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and I appreciate the time you have given me. I thank you.
What is out of order, the Honorable Gadoni wa Muchomba?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raised my hand when my sister and my very good colleague, the Honorable Dr. Lillian Gogo, was submitting. And she alluded to the fact that Honorable Jalango is connected to Asumbi Girls, those that are associated. I needed a clarification. Is Honorable Jalango an alumni of Asumbi Girls? We need to be clarified properly, because we are worried if he's an alumni, then things might change in this afternoon.
The Honorable Dr. Lillian Gogo, what is the relationship between the Honorable Jalango with Asumbi girls, our best girls' school.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank my sister, the Honorable Dr. Gathoni Wamushomba. She just wanted me also to acknowledge that she also has a PhD, because the floor this afternoon is for PhDs, and she's literally transformed into orange. Welcome to the party of the people. I want to thank you very much. This is how the Honorable Jalango is related to Asumbi National School. I used some very simple English, and I said that he's related to Asumbi National School by dint of coming from Homa Bay. I think that is the English that she did not get. But the Honorable Jalango comes from Homa Bay County, where Asumbi is located. And Asumbi National School is only 20 kilometers from Homa Bay town. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
At the risk of diluting the doctorate degrees, because we transact the next business, and just on a special request, the Honorable Lillian Rennie, for 1 minute only to welcome all the students, then we go to the next order. The Honorable Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, there's nothing you're diluting. I am but only doing my second degree. I have the advantage of age, so I'll get there to the PhD like the rest. My second degree is in law. But Honorable Speaker, I want to just do a special welcome to the students who are here, and especially Asumbi girls, and to my niece, who is part of the team, Amara Aluodo, who I have known since she was 7 days old. So because I know she is also wants to come here one day and be a member of parliament, I just want to wish her and all the others the very best. She is now doing her Form 4, about to sit for exams. So all the best to all of them, and we appreciate you girls. And don't worry, we will get there. Doctorates, it's coming.
Yeah, honorable members, you allow the House to debate Asumbi and the schools. I know we will debate up to tomorrow, because there is a way we are connected. We are all connected to Asumbi. I want us, therefore, to transact business. Does Honorable Jalango have PhD? Yeah, then you can proceed for 1 minute only.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome all the students, and especially Asumbi girls, from the county where I was born and bred. I went to Lake Primary School, where so many girls from Lake Primary School, Homa Bay, went and joined the Honorable Asumbi girls. Now, this was the school that most girls dreamt to go from the county. And they've continued to excel in the exams and show the same spirit that we had those days. And we hope that they will continue the same. And one message that I want to tell them is that it does not matter where you come from. You know how Homa Bay was then. Honorable Milik can tell you, we grew up in Homa Bay together. And a lady or a girl going to Asumbi girl was a prestigious thing. It is still prestigious, and it will always be. Welcome, my girls from Asumbi girls. Karibuni sana to the assembly. Asante.
Well, all visiting schools and students are welcome to the house during their learning tour. Call the next order now.
Order number 12, the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 15 of 2025. Second reading.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, before I move the bill for second reading is again to take this time also to welcome these great girls to National Assembly, and also to inform them as the great county of Nakuru, we are also bestowed and gifted with very many elected women leaders, starting from the Honorable Martha Wangari, the MP for Gilgil, the Honorable Jane Kihara, MP for Naivasha, the Honorable Irene Murembo, the MP for Bahati, the Honorable Charity Kathambi, the MP for Njoro, our Governor Susan Kihika, our Senator Tabitha Keroche, they call us the county of girls. So it is to show you that women have power and they can fight alongside men and win seats. So even for you, emulate from the great ladies of Homa Bay and the great ladies of Nakuru, and I'm confident that you'll become great leaders in this Republic of Kenya. And to caution our brothers and sisters from Central Kenya, when it is an issue of grammar, we need to be very careful not to pick a fight with our brothers and sisters from the lakeside, because we will lose that fight for sure. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Virtual Assets Providers Bill, National Assembly number 15 of 2025, be now read a second time. Yes, as Honorable Mushomba has witnessed at the floor of this House this afternoon. Honorable Speaker, this bill was published on the 17th of March and given to the Departmental Committee of Finance and National Planning for its consideration. Honorable Speaker, before I get to the nitty-gritties, I want to share with you a few leading quotes from business people across the world. One, I think, the CEO of BlackRock reminds us that virtual assets are reshaping the entire financial landscape, and there is a huge opportunities for interactions. Again, one of the most respected names in this particular space is one David Solomon, who says that cryptocurrencies have defined what it means to store and transfer value. Honorable Speaker, it's important to mention that Kenya is ranked number 3 in Africa on on-chain weighted transaction volume. In the last 1 year, Kenya traded $2 billion in decentralized protocols, liquidity aggregation, and synthetic platforms this year, Honorable Speaker. We have approximately 6.1 million users who use EV capabilities, chain tokens, bridges, wrapped BTCs, gas abstracted stablecoins, and ZK roll-up deployment, Honorable Speaker. We have a potential in this space to generate at least $1 billion in terms of foreign direct investment. With the passage of this law, Honorable Speaker, this law has a potential to create at least 25,000 jobs in Kenya in the next 1 year, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we look forward to this new technology, blockchain technology, tokenization, being used to solve one of the challenges we have in this country, Honorable Speaker, like budgetary allocation, Honorable Speaker. The control of budget estimates that we have approximately 550 billion shillings worth of pending bills. Honorable Speaker, I look forward to when this can be tokenized, and we have people across Kenya and globally, Honorable Speaker, contribute to this particular space without having to constrain the exchequer, given the limited physical space we have, Honorable Speaker, on our budget. The question then is, Honorable Speaker, what are we doing as a nation to embrace this novel innovation in finance that the world is already embracing? Well, at the very least, if this House considers and passes this bill, Kenya will now be the 4th country in Africa to do so by maintaining our progressive spirit of building Kenya to be the Silicon Savannah. Honorable Speaker, virtual assets are digital representation of value that are created. Usually by mining, they are traded or transferred in digital sphere, often using the blockchain or other forms of distributed ledger technologies, simply known as DLTs. Their uses are many. They can be used as a medium of exchange, as a unit of account, as a store of value, or even for investment purposes with specific digital ecosystems and across broader financial systems, depending on their structure and application. So, Honorable Speaker, then with the question begs, should we regulate these assets? Honorable Speaker, Kenya has witnessed a remarkable rise in cryptocurrency adoption, with over 10 million citizens now holding one form of a digital asset or another. There is a significant engagement in peer-to-peer cryptocurrency trading, which has earned Kenya a top position in the global ranking for trading volume and leading position in overall cryptocurrency activity, according to China Analysis Global Crypto Adoption Index of 2023. Honorable Speaker, this growth demonstrates a substantial interest in participation in digital assets, especially amongst young Kenyans, those showcasing the sector's potential within the economy. Over the first few years, our traditional financial regulators, particularly the Central Bank, the Capital Markets Authority, have over time adopted a cautious stance towards virtual assets. For instance, In both 2015 and 2022, the central bank issued a cautionary notice to financial institutions against engaging with cryptocurrencies, stating that they are not recognized as legal tender. But Mr. Speaker, here we are realizing that burying our heads in the sand is not tenable anymore. In this regard, the National Treasury now has prepared this bill before us, which was sponsored by the Liberal majority. Honorable Speaker, when I was elected during my first term in 2017 into this Honorable House, in 2018, it was on record, I raised a question to the then Governor of Central Bank of Kenya, asking what measures is Central Bank and National Treasury doing to prepare themselves on this issue of Bitcoins, blockchain technology, and cryptocurrency, Honorable Speaker. The response from the then Central Bank Governor said that cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, digital assets were passing clouds, was a fad that will fade away. I am happy that at Kenya now we have seen it is no longer a fad that's going to fade away. Digital assets, Bitcoins, blockchain technology, cryptos, and all that space, including Ethereum and all, and stable coins, and all that space, Honorable Speaker, on digital assets, is no longer a fad that's fading away. The reality is now here with us. The scope of this bill, Honorable Speaker, is designated to regulate all persons or entities who are engaging in offering virtual asset services within or from Kenya. This will apply to companies incorporated under Kenyan law or foreign companies duly recognized under the Companies Act and which are licensed to provide virtual assets as defined in the bill in the first schedule. However, this will deliberately exclude certain categories of digital representation to avoid overregulation or financial or non-financial purely utilized-based digital products. Exempted from this bill and act, if passed by this Honorable House, are digital representations that function solely within a closed ecosystem, such as in-game currencies that cannot be transferred, exchange for fiat money, or traded outside the issuer's platform, as well as central bank-issued digital currencies. Certain non-fungible tokens not used for payment or investment purposes, and other digital representations expressly excluded by the relevant authority, Honorable Speaker. This the bill, Honorable Speaker, carefully defines the scope and ensures that only those virtual asset activities posing financial, consumer, or systematic risks fall under the regulatory oversight. This is done while preserving innovation and limiting unnecessary regulation burden on other digital technologies. This focus, Honorable Speaker, is particularly relevant given past incidences in Kenya, where the lack of regulation in virtual asset space has exposed consumers to harm and loss. To give an example, Honorable Speaker, thousands of Kenyans were affected by the collapse of cryptocurrency platform Bitstream Cycle in 2023. Investors lost millions of shillings from this platform when it was abruptly shut down without warning. Bitstream Cycle had operated without any regulatory oversight, promising high returns through digital currency investments, yet it was neither licensed nor monitored by any Kenyan authority. Such cases highlight the dangers of unregulated virtual assets services and demonstrates the need for clear legal framework like the one the bill is introducing to make sure we safeguard the funds of the members of the public. Any person or entity intending to engage in virtual assets must now formally apply to the relevant authority, either through the Capital Markets Authority, the Central Bank of Kenya, and the new entity this bill is proposing to create, the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, Honorable Speaker. This bill will form strong emphasis on the prevention and management of conflict of interest among licensed virtual asset providers, which we call VASPs. Under this bill, VASP are required to establish and maintain effective internal policies and procedures designed to identify, to mitigate, and manage potential actual conflict of interest that may arise, for example, and are required to report this to the authority and the regulator, Honorable Speaker. Virtual assets, Honorable Speaker, that simultaneously acts as a broker for their client must clearly separate those roles to avoid manipulating trade outcomes on its advantages. And where conflicts are unavoidable, Honorable Speaker, they will be required to report to the authority. This bill is going to impose enforcement action for contravening any of the provisions of this law, including fines, Honorable Speaker, that are clearly defined in the schedules provided, Honorable Speaker, as per our report. This bill is providing a clear mechanism, Honorable Speaker, for appeal. So where you go to apply for a license to the regulator and you're not issued with a license, then this bill provides for not just timelines for when the regulator must respond to you on what documents are required, on whether or not you're going to be issued with a license or not, but also provides timelines, Honorable Speaker, for when they're supposed to issue licenses. This, Honorable Speaker, is meant to cure where this Honorable House has passed laws that would require, for example, particular entities or authorities to license entities, but those entities take years before they are issued with a license, Honorable Speaker. In addition, Honorable Speaker, the bill is also providing for the Cabinet Secretary to issue further regulations. Because from experience, Honorable Speaker, such new entity we may not be able to capture evidence needed for it in law. And therefore, we are now requiring, Honorable Speaker, within 6 months, that the Cabinet Secretary must issue regulations, Honorable Speaker, to further regulate this particular sector, Honorable Speaker. One of the most significant advantages that we're going to experience with blockchain technology is its decentralized nature. Unlike, Honorable Speaker, traditional financial systems that rely on central authorities, blockchain operates on a distributed ledger maintained by a network of nodes. This decentralization reduces the risk of single points of failure and enhances the security and resilience of financial systems. Kraken, for example, one of the global leaders, has partnered with DeFi Development Corp to tokenize shares on the Solana blockchain, which is demonstrating the potential of decentralized finance to integrate traditional assets in the blockchain ecosystems. Mr. Speaker, I am hoping that this bill will make this reality in Kenya. Blockchain transparency is another critical feature that is that sets it apart from conventional financial systems. Honorable Speaker, every transaction on a blockchain is recorded on a public ledger, which can be audited by anyone. This transparency helps to build trust among users and reduces the potential for fraud and corruption. By tokenizing government securities, platforms like Coinbase can provide real-time visibility into the ownership, the transfer of these assets, and therefore enhance trust and accountability. I hope one day we get to be a country where we can use these particular entities, Honorable Speaker, to safeguard even our public assets. Honorable Speaker, things like the faking and the issuing of duplicate title deeds, Honorable Speaker, can be easily resolved using blockchain technology, where any attempt to change title deed, Honorable Speaker, of any particular property can easily be notified. No, it can easily be detected because it will be impossible to do so using, Honorable Speaker, the blockchain technology that exists. The immutability of blockchain records ensure that once a transaction is recorded, it cannot be altered or deleted. This feature is very crucial in maintaining the integrity of financial records and prevents tampering. Soon, we will need to discuss amending our land network, Honorable Speaker, having our procurement laws and our procurement processes use blockchain technology so that we ensure that the fraud that is used, Honorable Speaker, in our procurement systems is not done. And this is possible using blockchain technology. This legislation is to democratize access to investment opportunities through access to tokenized investment tools. By breaking down assets into smaller, more affordable units, tokenization allows a broader range of investors to participate in markets that are previously inaccessible. Honorable Speaker, for example, for you to own a parcel of land in Kenya, you need to own the whole piece of land. Using tokenization, it will therefore now be possible for Kenyans across the economic, Honorable Speaker, to own part of that property and gain, Honorable Speaker, profit from that particular interest, Honorable Speaker. For now, for you to buy a piece of land, you probably need to buy a 50 by 100 or 1 acre or 1 hectare, whatever it is, Honorable Speaker. But it is possible to have this land being accessible to young people in this country, Honorable Speaker, through those small units and have them get a considerable return, Honorable Speaker, on the investment. The efficiency of this blockchain is another compelling advantage that as a country we should tap to. Traditional financial transactions often involve multiple intermediaries, leading to delays and increased costs. Honorable Speaker, it will be important to remind ourselves how, for example, the blockchain technology and, for example, the Bitcoin was launched. During the financial system breakdown in the US, Honorable Speaker, we had banks in the need to compete to issue mortgages issued mortgages to almost every American. And consequently, what happened, the cost of those houses, considering the force of demand and supply, the price of those houses fell lower than the mortgage amount that was mortgaged to these particular institutions. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, this led to the collapse of the entire financial system in the United States of America, Honorable Speaker. And this is what now these young people who are accountants, financial analysts, and computer scientists wondered, how can we preserve value for assets without necessarily, Honorable Speaker, having to use intermediaries? This particular technology that we're talking about, this digital assets, Honorable Speaker, is now providing that space, where you will no longer need an intermediary, Honorable Speaker, to store value for your asset. And Honorable Speaker is going to reduce all the fraud that occurs in that particular space, Honorable Speaker. This technology will support development for what we call smart contracts, which are self-executing contracts with the terms of the agreement directly written into a code. Smart contracts can automate various financial processes and reduce the need for manual intervention and minimizing the risk of human error. As we style ourselves as a Silicon Valley, we need to enable this framework, Honorable Speaker, and this is our opportunity. Honorable Speaker, one of the issues that we see, matters of litigation across the country, is in terms of contracts that are not being honored. Now, using this technology, Honorable Speaker, we can have smart contracts, Honorable Speaker, that get to mature, and whatever is supposed to be executed is executed through technology, Honorable Speaker, without having to have any human intervention, and therefore this will even reduce the litigation that goes around in our court system, Honorable Speaker, for unhonored contracts. I don't want to belabor the point anymore, but let me underscore that the potential for innovation in blockchain technology is vast and will create immense opportunities for our economy, including creation of jobs. As the opportunity continues to evolve, new applications and use cases are emerging. For example, the integration of blockchain with other technologies such as artificial intelligence and Internet of Things are creating new opportunities for financial innovation, and as a nation, we should not be left behind. This regulatory framework, landscape, Honorable Speaker, for blockchain and virtual assets is evolving. Now, governments and regulatory bodies increasingly recognize the potential use of these technologies. In Africa, as I said, we'll be the fourth nation to pass this law. And I call upon this House to support the bill and the amendments that this committee is going to bring to the House. Honorable Speaker, One Wall Street CEO, Jamie Dimon, said that the blockchain is a financial challenge of our time. It is going to change the way our financial world operates. A few years ago, Honorable Speaker, few people sat and discussed the creation of M-Pesa. And the then Vodacom, Honorable Speaker, said, it is impossible. Everyone uses bank, relies on the banking system, and we cannot have money being transferred through phones. Apart from a few people who were in that room, the likes of Michael Joseph and others that improve on that technology said, no, it is possible. A few young Kenyans were tasked to create that platform. And now, much more money is traded, is exchanged on M-Pesa than any other financial system in Kenya. Blockchain technology, virtual assets, is the new M-Pesa. A lot of transactions globally are not now happening through the traditional banking systems. They're not happening through mobile exchanges. They're happening through virtual assets. And I hope and pray that this Honorable House will make Kenya to lead so that we attract FDI for institutions to come up and set up in Kenya and expand to the rest of Africa, making Kenya the Silicon Valley of virtual assets, Honorable Speaker. Let us not be scared of new technologies. Let us not be afraid of these new technologies. Let's embrace them. Let's promote them. Let's support them and make sure that you are not left behind by the rest of the world. With those many remarks, I beg to move and request my senior, the leader of Majority Party, and the great member for the great people of Kikuyu constituency to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to second this virtual assets service providers bill, and has been ably moved by the chair of the Finance and National Planning Committee that considered this bill. Honorable Speaker, as you have said, Kenya is indeed a beacon of innovation and growth in Africa in the sector of financial services. And indeed, as the chair has alluded, M-Pesa is such one example of financial inclusion services in the financial services sector, where Kenya has not just become a beacon of innovation, but became a focus point for the entire world. Even before the Americas, the Silicon Valley, and India and other countries moved into mobile money transfers, Kenya led the way, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we cannot afford to be left behind in the space of virtual assets, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it is important, Honorable Speaker, that we have a legal framework that will form the basis of regulation or the regulatory work of the virtual assets themselves, the regulation of virtual assets systems, and also the service providers of virtual assets, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Kenya has witnessed increased adoption and use of virtual assets, particularly in payments and investments over the years. And these assets present very good opportunities to promote digital finance, boost commerce, especially e-commerce, and even create a new class of digital jobs, Honorable Speaker. And our young, innovative young men and women in our universities and those graduating from our middle-level technical colleges and technology colleges have an opportunity to explore the digital jobs that come with this virtual assets, Honorable Speaker. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, the benefits of these virtual assets have also been challenged by cybersecurity risks, data privacy risks, fraud, and scams in the country. Honorable Speaker, the best case example is a WorldCoin episode about, was it a year or 2 years ago? Remember, Honorable Speaker, the hula baloo that was there at KICC with WorldCoin and Bitcoin. But Honorable Speaker, those are the challenges that will come with these virtual assets. Questions that touch on not just cybersecurity, but also data privacy. And you remember the challenges then with WorldCoin was on data privacy. And the challenges that were there in where are you taking these data that you're collecting, including the things we're getting from people's eyes. And a lot of private data, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, such issues, challenges with data privacy, cybersecurity risks, fraud, and what are outright scams, because a lot of Kenyans, again, have been scammed, being told we are selling you Bitcoins. Some that are just Ponzi games that are sponsored by innovative people in the fraud industry, because also fraud is a very huge industry, Honorable Speaker. And you know, many of those people, including some, Honorable Speaker, who are in our space, who are involved in what has been christened the wash. The wash industry, Honorable Speaker, you know, was a very big industry and has been a big industry. And these people are now graduating in the wash business into the virtual assets industry, Honorable Speaker, and scamming very many Kenyans, and especially those who are after a quick shilling or a quick buck get scammed, Honorable Speaker. And it's therefore important that we have a legal and regulatory framework that relates to the use of virtual assets and related activities in the country, so that we stem this fraud, the challenges on data privacy, fraud, and cyber security risks, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in December 2015, the Central Bank of Kenya issued a public notice cautioning the public against virtual currencies such as Bitcoin, citing the risks in operating in an unregulated environment. The notice highlighted concerns around the lack of legal protections, potential misuse of money laundering and terrorism financing, and the speculative nature of these assets due to their lack of underlying value, any underlying value. Consequently, Honorable Speaker, the Central Bank of Kenya prohibited all financial institutions from engaging in or facilitating virtual currency transactions through CBK's Banking Circular number 14 of 2015. Honorable Speaker, when I speak about the lack of a regulatory and legal framework, these are challenges that we have lived with. That it took the Central Bank of Kenya through that legal notice, their circular number 14 of 2015, to caution financial institutions from engaging in virtual assets, Honorable Speaker. But truth is, we cannot function in isolation of the rest of the world. These virtual assets are today's reality, Honorable Speaker, and as the chair has said in moving, if M-Pesa some years back was the innovation of the time, then these virtual assets today are innovations that we must be able to live with and create a legal and regulatory framework that will now govern how do financial institutions in our country deal with the virtual assets and their transacting virtual assets, Honorable Speaker. As I said, because these assets have no underlying value. It's not like a piece of land or a car that you can send a valuer to value and tell you this asset is valued for this much, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it leads to a lot of speculative industry or speculative habits, Honorable Speaker, that can quickly move the value of a virtual asset from $1 to thousands of dollars, Honorable Speaker, with nothing underlying. And therefore, if there is no legal and regulatory framework on how even financial institutions will deal with these issues, Honorable Speaker, then we will leave Kenyans exposed. And that is why it has become imperative that we have a regulatory and legal framework that we can use as a country. And it's in this backdrop, Honorable Speaker, that the National Treasury in January of 2025 published the draft national policy on virtual assets and virtual asset service providers. And this policy, Honorable Speaker, lays out a national vision for a secure, inclusive, and innovative digital asset economy. It calls for a coordinated regulatory framework led by the Central Bank of Kenya, the Capital Markets Authority, the Competition Authority, and is grounded on a public-private collaboration, Honorable Speaker, because again, bearing in mind that many of these virtual assets are not assets that are being traded by government or regulated by government in the trade area. But it will call on a multi-pronged approach, Honorable Speaker, where you have the Capital Markets Authority, the Communication Authority, the Competition Authority of Kenya, and also the Capital Markets Authority to have a legal framework and a regulatory one that will then anchor this policy into law. And that is what this bill seeks to do. Therefore, the bill that we have before us, Honorable Speaker, is directly implementing this policy, aiming to bring clarity to operators, protection of consumers, and credibility to Kenya's digital finance ecosystem, as I said, to stem the abuse that has been there. Honorable Speaker, I do not go into all the details of the bill because the chair has clearly elaborated on what is provided for in this bill, Honorable Speaker. But, Honorable Speaker, allow me to draw members' attention to Part 2 of this bill, which designates the Capital Markets Authority, the Central Bank of Kenya, and any other public body approved by the Cabinet Secretary as the relevant regulatory bodies, which will now be mandated to license the virtual asset service providers and regulate, supervise, and monitor promoters of virtual assets those offering virtual assets, Honorable Speaker. Part 3, Honorable Speaker, also creates a system or provides for a system where there will be mandatory licensing of persons and businesses by the relevant regulatory authorities under the Act, whether it is the Central Bank of Kenya, Honorable Speaker, the the Capital Markets Authority, or any other relevant regulatory body that you have to license persons. So that, Honorable Speaker, will stem the culture that has been there. I have seen young people who have just finished college, Honorable Speaker, purporting to sell virtual assets and trade in them. But nobody was regulating them. Those that are doing online marketing of these things, and because they are very tech savvy and very good in digital marketing online, they are able to rope in very many people within a very quick period, collect a lot of money from people, then within a short time, the whole thing collapses and Kenyans innocently lose their money. And Kenyans have been accusing government, asking government, what have you been doing? Honorable Speaker, this is what government is doing now to make sure that there is a legal framework. You know who ought, if you are trading, for instance, in Forex, because there are many people dealing with Forex, trading online and are not licensed by anybody, Honorable Speaker, that you need to be under some regulatory framework. For instance, those trading in Forex are under the regulation of CBK. Those, again, who are dealing with equities, again, they will fall under the Capital Markets Authority or whichever the relevant regulatory body, Honorable Speaker, that will be there. Honorable Speaker, to protect consumers, the bill in Part 4 requires that the virtual asset service providers must maintain adequate safeguards for client assets and obtain appropriate insurance cover. This will ensure that in the event of fraud or operational failure, consumers can receive compensation. And additionally, Honorable Speaker, the virtual asset service providers must also maintain a bank account in Kenya, enabling effective monitoring and oversight. Honorable Speaker, many of the challenges that Kenyans have encountered is, as I said, because of their lacked a regulatory framework, it was not clear whether if you send somebody money to purchase a virtual asset, is there a way that in case you wanted to get back your money, you can get it back? And before this bill or before this policy was enacted, there wasn't a framework, Honorable Speaker. And this is what this Part 4 of the bill seeks to do. First, to ensure that there are adequate safeguards. Just like in the insurance industry, Honorable Speaker, there is a premium holders compensation fund that is a safeguard for premium insurance premium holders, that in case that insurance company collapses, you have a fallback plan. Banks in this country, Honorable Speaker, again, the chair will tell you, under the central depository system, what do you call it? It is called the Deposit Protection Fund. What was the previously called the Depositors Protection Fund? That if you're carrying on the work of banking in this country, you needed to, those banks, you need to have some security, either an insurance bond or a cash guarantee in another financial institution to secure people's deposits, Honorable Speaker. But with these virtual assets, we have operated in a space where nobody could guarantee you that if there are liabilities that occur, you have some fallback plan. Part 4 of this bill is doing that to ensure that either you have an appropriate insurance cover or there's some fallback mechanism, Honorable Speaker. And that's why it's important, as has been put in that part, Honorable Speaker, that we also have these virtual asset service providers, they must maintain a bank account in Kenya that will enable effective monitoring and oversight by the Central Bank of Kenya. Because again, people have been sending money to bank accounts outside this country. And there is no guarantee that you are protected if you are trading and doing business with people outside the country. But now with this particular provision under Part 4, that you have to maintain a bank account locally, then it becomes very easy for the central bank to be able to monitor what is going on and protect those who are investing in these virtual assets, Honorable Speaker. Finally, Part 5, Honorable Speaker, of the bill speaks to regulatory authorities being empowered to vet shareholders and senior officers of virtual asset service providers. They are also empowered to conduct on-site and off-site inspections and enforce the anti-money laundering and financing of terrorism laws. Because, Honorable Speaker, again, you have seen, as I said, every Tom, Dick, and Harry walks into the economy or into Kenya, opens some office somewhere at a street corner, collects money from people, and disappears. And nobody vets who are the shareholders or who are the owners of this virtual asset service providers. It will now be a requirement that the regulatory authorities that license you to offer virtual assets service, to become a virtual asset service provider, they must vet you to ensure that they know who the shareholders are. They must know who the senior officers in that company are. They must conduct on-site and off-site inspections to ensure also that we stem, because, Honorable Speaker, just like all the other financial assets, this is one area that could be largely abused by those who are financing terrorism, people who are engaging in money laundering, and therefore it must be the responsibility of the regulatory authorities to ensure that they vet to ensure that both the senior officers and the shareholders are not people who are involved in money laundering, in terrorism financing, or any other such related crimes. Can I say a second?
Yes. Give him the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying to ensure that anybody who is involved in that trade is not involved in terrorism financing or money laundering, Honorable Speaker, under the Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorism Financing Act. And with that, Honorable Speaker, I support and I beg to second.
Honorable members, I now propose a question that the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 15 of 2025 be read a second time. The Honorable Naisula.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this very important bill, the Virtual Asset Services Providers Bill 2025, brought to the floor of the House by the Majority Leader, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and also moved by the able Chairman of the Finance Committee, Honorable Kuria Kimani. Just as it has been said by both the mover and the seconder, this is a very important bill which protects the consumers of the virtual asset services, Mr. Speaker. Just as also it has been said that we are moving very speedily in matters to do with technology. Personally, I've been approached by very many people, young people, telling me to get into this space, cryptocurrency, and sometimes even you don't have to meet them. They just tell you virtually, do you have any money? Let's put it here. And I can imagine that there are very many people who have lost their resources or their money because we do not have proper regulations or laws that safeguards the consumers or the customers, Mr. Speaker. And so this is a very important bill as it mandates that any entity that will be offering virtual asset services in Kenya must be licensed by the relevant regulatory authority. Because as we speak right now, people are just operating in a manner where they are not accountable. So this will ensure there is transparency, this will ensure there is accountability for anybody who is involved in this industry, Mr. Speaker. And in this bill, there will be bodies that will be designated to offer this service to ensure that there is regulation. That is the Central Bank of Kenya, there's the Capital Markets Authority, and the Communications Authority, Mr. Speaker. And these bodies or entities will ensure that they license, they supervise, and they enforce compliance with the law. And I must say this, that as a country, in terms of always complying and doing what is right, as it has been said, we are the fourth country in Africa to ensure that we have this bill or this that will govern this space, Mr. Speaker. And so Kenya is never left behind in ensuring that we put the necessary regulations. This will also ensure and will help us to deal with issues to do with money laundering, issues to do with terrorism financing, and threats to financial stability, Mr. Speaker. And as I said, it seeks to protect the consumer when dealing with virtual assets such as cryptocurrencies and crypto assets. Mr. Speaker, and this is the space that many young people are getting into. You will rarely find a young person right now telling you, I want to invest in a piece of land. They are not like the older generation where any little money you get or we get is we're trying to chase a piece of land somewhere, trying to buy an apartment somewhere, wait for it to appreciate, Mr. Speaker, and then later dispose it. Young people are getting into cryptocurrency, into this virtual asset space, Mr. Speaker, where they are trading with their money and their resources. And so it is important for us as legislators in this House to ensure that then we put laws and regulations in place that then will safeguard those who are keen on these spaces, Mr. Speaker. And so just some of the requirements that will be needed for those who will be providing these services, Mr. Speaker, is that for them to operate legally in Kenya,
they will need to maintain a registered office. As I mentioned, we are just being approached by people in the streets. Hi, Mheshimiwa, we have this service we are offering. Do you want to buy the crypto? Do you want to get involved in this and that? But now, Mr. Speaker, they'll be required to be registered and to get a license, to establish and maintain a registered office within Kenya, ensuring a physical presence for regulatory and customer engagement purposes, so that if I need to come to your office, it is registered where you are. In case you go ahead and con somebody, then it is possible for someone to track you down, or the bodies that are mandated to regulate this. Also, they will be needed to appoint a chief executive officer, and each virtual asset service provider must appoint a CEO who meets the eligibility criteria set by the relevant regulatory authority, ensuring competent leadership, Mr. Speaker. And so this will also ensure that we are not just dealing with anybody, but people who actually don't have the know-how of dealing with these matters, Mr. Speaker, but it will be someone who is qualified, and it can be questioned, and even the regulatory bodies will ensure that that is happening. Of course, there are some there are some issues that I'm sure they can be looked at later when we're looking at the third reading, where we can check whether some amendments can be put in, because there are very heavy, there are a few issues like the high licensing and compliance costs, and I'm sure the young people who are keen on this will then raise the issue that they are being locked out, so that they are not able to practice. Because the bill requires all virtual asset service providers to undergo extensive licensing procedures, which may be costly and time-consuming. Of course, it's good to have strict and stringent measures, but also when we look at the small startups and the young people who are in this space, Mr. Speaker, it might lock them out, and I don't think that is the whole essence of the bill. And so the small startups may struggle with these financial and bureaucratic burdens, leading to monopolization by the large firms. And so we might want to look at that. And also, there is also the whole issue of extensive customer data collection, which may violate user privacy rights. So, Mr. Speaker, these are some of the things that we might want to look out for as we continue with this bill, Mr. Speaker. But as I come to the conclusion, I want to say that this bill is very, very important, because, as I said, it is going to ensure that people who are in the business of the virtual asset service, the virtual assets, and people who are interested in this space will be safeguarded as the consumers and the customers. I do support.
The MP for cases.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for recognizing me. And I want to remind my good brother, senior from Endebess, Bukose, that being a member of the committee, I would be very much happy to get an opportunity like this one, so that I can still weigh more on the information that we were able to derive from engaging the stakeholder. Mr. Speaker, true to say, the market is dynamic. And I want to appreciate this country for recognizing that there are some things that you cannot change. We say change is constant K. And one of the change we cannot avoid is the aspect that the market is changing. Where the whole world is shifting, it has come from ages. It came from the steel money, stable coins. It came to the paper money. Now we are in the card money. We've come to the digital money now, where we are transacting digitally, like M-Pesa, and name all of that. But as we are talking now, it has also shifted further beyond there to the virtual asset, where what is happening in the market, you store your value in an asset that is not visible. But the funny thing, or something that astonishes, when we engage the stakeholders, we learned a lot, that this market has been existing and is huge, very huge. That when we talk of the value that is being transacted, it goes into trillions of US dollars, something that we cannot avoid. Mr. Speaker, something to note to the floor of the House is that
As we are talking now, there are countries like UAE and many other countries that have accepted this one as a means of exchange, where you can exchange value using virtually, when you can transact virtually and be able to derive the value of that by obtaining commodities in the market for your consumption. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this one brought the need that this Kenya country, after adopting it, I can say adopting it in a manner that was not official or in an official manner, but it is in practice because many young Kenyans are in it. Many business people are in it. Many great people who have been investing in the other aspect of investments have even spread their risk, their portfolio to the virtual asset. And therefore, the need to organize this market. Because the risk that is coming with it is that there is no place of a point where you can reference to it. There is no physical office. There is no physical structure that as a person you have an issue, you would want to inquire, obtain information, or even petition your complaints whenever you have a case arising out of it. And therefore, this bill, Mr. Speaker, is coming to put in place infrastructure that can organize the market into a physical point where it can be touched, where someone can be seen, where someone can be engaged, where your issues can be addressed. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask this House that as we are looking at this one, it is something that we must embrace, and we must look at the way the world is going. If the big economies have accepted, like the US, like the UK, London, like even in Africa, South Africa, which is an economy we can liken within our African boundaries, it has also adopted to this one. So Kenya, we are proud that we've gone as the fourth in line, so that we can adopt this one and appreciate that we can encourage, we can onboard many people to invest in a manner that will be secure. What challenge only, Mr. Speaker, that we must speak about it is to encourage central bank to be up in game and undertake sufficient research, because the risk that was coming out of all this discussion is how our economy will be protected. The value of our currency, the fiat money that we are transacting now, will be protected. Those are some issues that the CBK need to have their game so that they can protect our legal currency, our legal tender that we are using. The current exchange rate that we are seeing, it is stabilizing between the Kenya and the US at around 128 shillings. Those are the questions that we need now to look at. How do we stabilize in it as we are going the virtual way? Mr. Speaker, another issue that maybe I need to also to call on is that I know we are aware that the day cabinet approved that there will be no more creation of authorities. But this virtual asset user bill is going to ensure, or is going to onboard or put up an authority that is going to manage this one, beside the CBK, beside the CMA that have been managing the other security markets in terms of shares, in terms of bonds and treasury bills. This one has kind of a unique characteristic that will require a unique board or a unique authority with a lot of understanding, sufficient technical knowledge to be able to manage. And so in this bill, Mr. Speaker, there will be a creation of a new authority that will be on board on it, knowledge from the CMA, knowledge from the CPK, knowledge from the Nairobi Financial Reporting Center on this aspect, Mr. Speaker, for the only sole purpose, so that this market is well organized, consumers are protected, and also not forgetting that recently we passed an anti-money laundering bill in this House that is to be signed, and I'm sure it has been signed into a law, so that again this particular sector of virtual asset cannot be misused to transact on money laundering aspect that we've seen. Somewhere I've heard somebody calling wash. Maybe people can transfer money from another country and illegal money. So these are issues that have to be organized so that we also avoid the issues of money laundering through this particular asset. So that, Mr. Speaker, I want to support it, and I want to give appreciation to my chairman for providing leadership, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and my colleague members of the committee. It was a very difficult question. It was a difficult subject, but I'm happy today that, Mr. Speaker, we are here. But there's something I need to note. Mr. Speaker, there was a challenge we had, and I want to appreciate our team of legal staff. The drafters of these bills, the National Treasury, who gave us the bill. Mr. Speaker, if you saw that bill that we were given, you will really be sorry. Because they gave us a bill like, I don't know who drafted the bill. I'm not aware whether the AG looked at that particular bill. It had a lot of things, it had a lot of repetition, a lot of inconsistent words, a lot of natural words that you cannot be legalized. But I want to appreciate during the third reading when the chairman will be moving, you'll be able to appreciate amendments in almost every clauses. This is something we want to call through this house, that let them prepare the bill as well when they are submitting to this house, because it gives a lot of work to come and retract instead of looking at the issues that are raised by the stakeholders and moving forward with the bill that is well organized. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minority Whip, followed by the MP for Independence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this bill. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the majority leader for bringing this bill, which is very timely, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to indicate that just as the majority leader was indicated when he was moving, is that the virtual assets are digital presentations of value that are capable of being traded or transferred. And Mr. Speaker, because they are not physical assets, there are many issues that are likely to arise, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, of course, some of the things that the members have said is the heightened risk of money laundering and terrorist financing, fraud, market manipulation, and operational and cybersecurity vulnerabilities. And then, of course, the issue of lack of regulation, and which I'm happy that by this law, there will be an aspect of regulation. Mr. Speaker, another issue is the market and operational risks that include price volatility, and again, of course, had indicated the issue of cyber security. Mr. Speaker, I just want to comment very briefly on some of the things that this bill speaks to. Mr. Speaker, of course, it designates a regulatory authorities, which is a very good thing, because this is a sector that is not aptly regulated. And because it is not regulated, Mr. Speaker, it becomes very difficult to differentiate between legit virtual assets operations and what has come to be known in Kenya as wash-wash. Mr. Speaker, we are seeing a lot of people who, after getting money under very questionable circumstances, suddenly to hide the money, they want to all come into parliament, get into positions of authority, where then they can be able or presume to be able to hide the money. Mr. Speaker, I think the other good thing that this bill does is to provide licensing requirements so that it's not a free-for-all, but that when people are engaged, then again, through licensing, we will be able to know who we are dealing with, and it will enable us to deal with the cyber threats that we are talking about. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy that under this bill, clause 21, 22, and 23 talks about even up to 24, very ethical issues such as businesses to be conducted in prudent manner, with integrity, and also the issues of conflict of interest. Mr. Speaker, the other issue that I think is notable is that it also provides for criminal offenses and penalties where people misuse this platform. Mr. Speaker, then there's also, Mr. Speaker, when we passed the Data Protection Act, I actually thought we were being melodramatic until last year when we actually had the JEDZ issue, and my number was shared, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I understood why there's need for data protection. Mr. Speaker, I was getting messages, I was getting calls at every and any hour. And Mr. Speaker, I was not considered bad. I was considered a favorite at that time. And Mr. Speaker, I'm wondering if I was a favorite and I'm getting that kind of messaging. What about the people that were not liked? Mr. Speaker, I was forced.
Like the chair?
Yes, like the chair. Mr. Speaker, I was forced to get a temporary new number because I couldn't cope. Mr. Speaker, I hired somebody, a young man, a Gen Z, to manage my phone, and I was paying a monthly salary. After a month, he returned my number and told me, you and your money and your phone, I can't deal. Data protection. And this one, it was not, probably harmful. Look at the case of Albert Ojwang's father. He was talking about money disappearing, and we are talking almost on the virtual space, that we are not talking about hard currency. In the past, for you to steal my money, you needed to get a gun, to shoot me, get where the money is and to shoot. But now, because we are dealing in a different era, it becomes very easy for somebody to just know how to tweak things and steal from you. And we have an amazing number of very educated young people that will benefit where we have regularized virtual assets and they can work within this sector. Mr. Speaker, the only challenge I would want to say is that sometimes when we are moving technologically, there are areas that are likely to be left behind, including my constituency, for instance, the rural areas, that as people are talking about virtual assets, they have no clue what you're talking about. We still use the hard currency. And so I would want to encourage that, and I was hoping to see that some of the things that we are speaking to is actually technological equity, so that we actually have more people engaging in these platforms and we carry everybody forward. I would also wish if the committee, I don't know if the committee has done that, but I'm seeing the bill is the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill. I don't know if you've considered whether it should also be virtual asset service providers and users, because we shouldn't only talk to providers, but to users as well. Because when you are talking about protecting people's data, protecting their assets, their virtual assets, then you are speaking also to the users. Mr. Speaker, I'd read it halfway. If there are any issues that I think I would need to look at where I would recommend amendments. So far, the one I've seen is including the issues really of technological equity and also the issue of including the users. Otherwise, I thank the committee and I thank the Kenyan Parliament, as much as we are really castigated a lot of times, but we are really ahead of most of our counterparts, even across the world. Recently, I was invited for a conference in Southern Africa where they were talking about issues relating to the bill that I'm sponsoring. And I discovered that in Kenya, even though our bill is still in the committee of the whole house, but we are way ahead, and people are looking at Kenya, for example. And one of the ladies shared with me that in Nigeria, they were actually looking at coming up with a similar bill. Then they discovered that it was my bill, word for word, until they forgot and used terminology that was very clearly Kenyan. So the person who was reviewing said, this is not Nigeria, this is Kenyan, because of the way, you know, the systems was very clearly Kenyan. So I want to laud us as the legislative arm of government for the excellent work we do. We are encouraging the executive arm similarly to not fail us, that once we put this in place, let the implementation be just as effective as the legislative. Otherwise, I thank the committee and I support. Thank you.
Honorable Kose.
Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I want to support the Virtual Asset Providers Bill. And just for the comfort of Honorable Millie Adhiambo, to tell her that her assisted reproductive bill, Millie, I'm speaking, I wanted to let you know that your assisted reproductive bill, Uganda is also benchmarking. So we're doing well as Kenya. And even in other areas like in terms of anti-snake venom, Nigeria failed, but I think Kenya, we are on the way to doing that. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, this is a very important bill. And as you are aware, one of the biggest challenges in this region of virtual asset service providers is conmanship. Because even when you listen to the committee, I would want it to be made more simpler. Because Kenyans should not fear venturing into this field. Because it becomes something for elites instead of even farmers. Because when we moved into buying tokens, even for your electricity, we buy tokens for our electricity. And you know, when your tokens ends, you can add other more tokens. And you can even, when you even get points in this